This is exactly the trap with personnel situational cards. The more smart you make the sheet, the more likely you are to freeze, late call, or overcheck yourself into junk. What actually works isn't dumbing it down, but reframing the card into a decision engine instead of a playbook, something that absorbs complexity ahead of time so the moment itself stays simple. The core problem is that information beats you twice. Paralysis by analysis shows up first as too many options in the moment. 3rd and 6, 11 personnel, boundary hash, they're in nickel. Is it cover 3 match? Simulated pressure? And while that internal debate is happening, the clock is running, communication degrades, the quarterback rushes, and the offensive line hears the call late. It shows up a second time as too many decision layers stacked on top of each other. Situation to personnel, to formation, to coverage, to front, to pressure, to field zone. Even if every layer is technically correct, the stack is too heavy to execute live. The fix isn't less thinking. It's pre-thinking plus hard limits. Rule number 1 is that the sheet must remove choices, not add them. If a cell on your sheet has 8 plays, it isn't a tool. It's a menu. You have to hard cap options by situation and personnel. 3 plays maximum in any box, and 2 is often better. Plus 1 universal panic answer that is the fastest safe call. Think in terms of money, changeup, and alert. Not every concept we like here. Rule number 2 is to build defaults, so you only have to decide when something is clearly better. Paralysis happens when everything looks equally plausible, so the goal is to eliminate debate by design. For each situation bucket, you create a default call that is correct often enough that it doesn't need to be questioned. For example, on 3rd and 5 to 7 and 11 personnel, the default might be a levels concept, where the quarterback already knows where the ball goes versus zone or man. The changeup is a pick or mesh variant, but only if there is a clear man indicator. The alert is a screen or running back check release, and it only comes into play if there's a pressure indicator. On top of that, you carry 1 universal panic call, quick game hitch or spacing, that is always safe and always fast. Now the live thought process becomes simple. Call the default unless you see a strong reason not to. That framing eliminates internal debate and keeps the call on time. Rule number 3 is to limit yourself to 2 live reads with everything else handled in week prep. To avoid analysis loops, the on-field decision tree must be brutally simple. The only questions you answer live are whether there is pressure risk, yes or no, and whether the coverage indicator leans man or leans zone. That's it. Field zone, down and distance nuance, personnel matchups, and coverage tendencies should already be baked into why those plays are in the box in the first place. The moment you add a 3rd live read, call speed drops off a cliff, and the entire system breaks down. Rule number 4 is to separate prep analytics from game day analytics. Analytics create paralysis when they show up as numbers on game day, because no one can process conditional EPA splits in the middle of a drive. Instead, all that work has to be compressed into rules. Saying a concept is plus 0.18 expected points added versus cover 4 but negative versus cover 3 match, unless certain conditions are met, is pure paralysis fuel. What works on game day are callable rules. If they spin late, call levels. If they're mugged, call running back check release or a screen. If the corner is off with a soft edge, take free access. Game day needs verbs, not decimals. Rule number 5 is to design the card like a cockpit, using color and hierarchy so the information hits instantly. If your eyes have to search, you're already late. The hierarchy should be obvious at a glance. Big text for the default, smaller text for the changeup, tiny text for alert tags, and a one-line coaching point that acts as the trigger. Things like mug linebacker, rotation, or soft edge. Color coding should stay simple and disciplined. Green for safe, fast, low negative calls. Yellow for plays that require a trigger. And red for concepts that only get called with a perfect look or when scripted. That structure prevents freeze and keeps you from dialing up cute stuff just because you're bored. Rule number 6 is to install a clock rule for the play caller, because paralysis is ultimately a time problem. You need a hard internal standard that forces commitment. For example, by 18 on the play clock, you are committed to a call, and if you are still debating at 18, you automatically go to the panic call. That rule can feel restrictive at first, but it quickly proves its value by preventing late huddle breaks, burned timeouts, quarterback confusion, and offensive line miscommunication. The goal isn't perfection, it's being early and clear. Rule number 7 is to build mini sequences instead of treating every snap as an isolated decision. One of the main drivers of analysis spirals is trying to find the perfect play each down. The alternative is to pre-build 2 play chains you trust, where call A, the default, intentionally sets up call B, the constraint. If the defense overplays A, B becomes automatic the next time the situation shows up. Now the play caller isn't solving a new puzzle every snap. They're executing a plan that unfolds over time. Rule number 8 is to recognize that quarterback checks can create paralysis too. Personnel situation cards can accidentally teach a quarterback that there is always a better answer, which slows everything down. To prevent that, checks must be limited to 1 or 2 per week in the plan, and they must be fast and binary. If the defense is mugged, throw it hot or hit the screen. If the corner is off with free access, take it. Everything else runs exactly as called. A quarterback who checks correctly but slowly is still losing. A clean template you can steal is to structure every personnel by down and distance box the same way. First is the default, the fast call you make when you see nothing special and just need the offense moving. Second is the trigger change, which only comes into play if one specific look shows up, such as a clear man indicator or a pressure look. Third is the constraint, which is the punishment for how the defense is playing you or overplaying the default. On top of that, you always carry a panic call, a universal, safe answer for when communication or time goes sideways. If you build your cards this way, you'll feel your call speed jump immediately.